Oh, hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 293, I'm very lucky to have Angela V. Harris, who is a leadership coach, speaker, author, and yes, recently escaped Microsoft with her life. How are you today, my lady?
Great, Miwa. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
I'm super excited to have you here. Now, you are a rare unicorn indeed, a lady in tech. Like,
Black woman in tech.
all right, I wanted to see how you took that, and you're like, oh, a black woman in tech. Yes. How on earth did this come about? Because, like, did you come into the world and went, you know what, tech is my thing?
Well, not exactly. I think when I was about 5 years old, I think I may have wanted to be a veterinarian, but then fast forward to age 6, I remember it vividly. I was out with one of my aunts one day and we were in a store and we were walking through aisle by aisle, and I saw a computer. Now, I was 6 years old, so I don't know if I knew it was called a computer, but I was just simply fascinated by it. So I'm not that kid, pressing all the buttons, doing all the things. And fast forward to age 9, my father ended up purchasing my first computer for me, which was a Commodore 64. And that was my first real exposure to technology. And I grew up during the 80s, and that was the days of, Sega, Nintendo. So all my friends, they were into the video games, but I was, I guess, the geek or the oddball because I was the one teaching myself how to do things on my computer. So I've just always had a fascination for technology.
Right? Like, this is the thing. Look, hey, I'm of the generation which knows of the Commodore 64. And the ever so delightful joys of like loading up a floppy disk.
Yes, yes, I had the floppies. Yes.
None of this, like, oh, it's a three and a quarter. No, like the big
The
old
five, yeah, the
uh,
5.5. You couldn't
that's
really
like,
touch it because you would mess it up if you touch the middle part.
yes, you could put a dinner plate on it. Would ruin it, but a dinner plate on it. Yeah. So with like that sort of like, yes, this is the world of tech. Hello. What like did you like just go, okay, yeah, I like playing the games, I like doing this. Oh, something new, spreadsheet, fancy. Or was it a case of it was like, yeah, raw coding, here I come.
You know, I was never really a coder, and again, STEM wasn't even like a thing, back in the day when I was a child. I taught myself basic programming, but that's completely different from the programming I did my freshman year in college. And I quickly learned freshman year in college that I was not a coder. So I never really gravitated to the coding aspect. My degree is actually in information systems. I like the blend of the business and the technology side, is being able to integrate and make solutions for the users.
Mm-hmm. And like when you sort of went, okay, like we're sort of jumping ahead here, like college to like, yeah, what was your kind of misconceptions before you went to college and when like you came
Yeah.
like
That's a
into,
great question.
yeah.
Well, I've always been into academics. I've always been driven. I was an honor roll student in school, and the high school I attended in Washington, D.C. was an academic high school. And we actually had the opportunity to take college classes while we were in high school. So I thought I was getting an edge and I thought I was prepared, but it was there like a huge transition from high school to college, yeah, high school to college for me. Even though I thought I did all the things right in terms of taking college classes in advance, I
Mm,
really wasn't prepared for computer science in college. Again, we didn't have computer science education when I was a child in public school. So my first real exposure to hardcore programming was like having to write a website in HTML from scratch and having to code in C++ from scratch, having no formal coding experience. And I did not do well. I got straight C's my freshman year in college. I was a A, B student in chemistry in high school chemistry. I got a C's in college chemistry. I was going to office hours and tutoring and trying to talk to professors, and they would not raise my grades. So I did not have the best freshman year experience.
Whoa, like so, like how do you go from being like an A and B student to a C student? Like what?
It was tough. Honestly, I'm still scarred by my freshman year again because I'd always been an honor roll student. When I graduated from high school, I think I finished fourth in my class. And to go from having, 3 point something GPA to having a GPA below 3 point, I think my cumulative GPA when I graduated was like a 2.9. It was devastating for me. And also it limited me in some aspects because I attended Drexel University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Drexel is unique in that we have a co-op program where you work full time for 3 years. Your sophomore year, pre-junior, and junior year, and then you're also going to class. And a lot of employers will base your, I guess, worthiness or readiness for a job opportunity based on your GPA. And because my GPA was below 3.0, I was not allowed to apply for certain co-op jobs or even when I graduated, full-time opportunities because they would always ask your GPA. And I remember my very first semester in college, I attended a NSBE conference, the National Society of Black Engineers, and they had
Yeah.
a job fair. And I was so excited to go to the job fair and explore potential opportunities for co-op. And I remember going to one of the recruiters and introducing myself, handing that recruiter, who was a Black woman, my resume.
Mm-hmm.
And she asked me what was my GPA, and I told her, and she handed my resume back to me. And that experience has scarred me for the rest of my college career.
Okay, like so when that happened and she went, no, bam, not for us. What did you do to turn this like ship around? Because look, you said you graduated with a 2.8, was it? Or 2.9?
Well, 2.9,
Uh,
2.9.
okay.
Cumulative.
That's like yes, it's above the point thing. Yes, 2.9. Like, yeah. So what made like how did you turn that around for being like, okay, handing out your resume, ask your GPA and go, I don't think so. Not today. Not today,
Mm-hmm.
my friend. Off you go. Find your way into the world some other way. To like, yeah, working for like one of the biggest companies in tech. How?
Just being driven, just knowing that how hard I work and seeing other people maybe not working as hard as me, like kind of, beating the system. There's always somebody trying to get over in the system and knowing that I was the one actually doing, the real work.
Mm-hmm.
Just my drive and dedication.
Like, and with like saying doing the real work, was that just a case of okay, working longer hours? Was it taking up extra like courses, getting involved in extra projects of work? How is that sort of formulated, you know?
Yeah, I mean, studying again, going to office hours, professor office hours, having a tutor, just making sure that I stayed on top of all my assignments. And actually, another aspect of it was I ended up changing my major my sophomore year from computer science to information systems, and I had a much better experience as an information systems major, especially in terms of my GPA and my core classes. And honestly, looking back, computer sciences wasn't the right fit for me.
Mm. Is that because it was just raw coding, like just in the
Yeah, and again, not having those role models again, STEM wasn't even a thing. So not having those role models as a student, computer science was like, I guess, like the thing, and a lot of people didn't really talk about the information systems route, and so I just assumed or thought that I would just do computer science and take it from there. But as I started exploring my future course of study for the remainder of time that I was going to be in college, it was like programming class after programming class after programming class, and it just did not sound appealing or exciting to me. And then when I was looking at the plan of study for information systems, that was just much more exciting, gave me a lot more energy, and I was actually happy to be in those classes.
Mm. Because when you said you had to do a website like HTML raw coding, like
Mm-hmm.
basically in this day and age, it's either
Yeah, it's so funny because like this day and age, everything's like drag and drop. They really don't have to do the coding. But again, it's like first exposure, I'm having to like the color codes and all that. But it's like this is like it's so easy. It's so much easier now.
like, I bet it makes you a little bit mad, just a little bit.
Because I'm not gonna lie, it really does.
And like this is the thing. Look, don't like C plus plus. No, you keep that horrid thing away from me. But like this is the thing. I did a little bit of HTML when I was in university, and like
Okay.
playing around with that, yeah, it it becomes fun. But like, there's certain things which are just like, oh, this is tedious. It's like tedious. But like getting into information systems, like what was the sort of thing which were like really sort of connected with you? Like, oh yeah, this is me. Was it the people side or was it a case?
Yeah, for me, it's just like being that bridge to the user, like being able to understand the technical aspect, but also just being able to make it relatable to
Mhm.
the person on the other end. So it's kind of like speaking both languages and having the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I was thinking that because like this is the thing when people talk about engineers, like they
Hmm.
talk a certain way and they think a certain way, but when they talk about the user experience, no, like there wouldn't be such things or Squarespace, Wix, or the internet
Right.
as we know it if it was left down to engineers. It would work really efficiently, but you would need to know this completely other language to
Yes.
thing. So you get into the workplace, like how, like was it a case of you had handed out your CV, told them your GPA, and you got
Mhm.
rejected again, or was it a case of you like it was a nicer path? Which one was it?
It really wasn't a nice path. And again, I finished college. It was 2002, and I tried to go through the on-campus recruiting process and going through the system that the university had. It could collect your GPA. And again, I had my ideal, job in mind, like ideal companies that I was, dreaming to work for as a college graduate, entry level professor, and I felt professional, sorry. But all those things were out the window because again, I couldn't even apply for those opportunities through the job system because it was saying my GPA didn't meet the requirements. So again, my opportunities were limited from that aspect. And also in 2002, the job market was really bad. So the on campus recruiting was scaled back, and add to that the fact that I was already excluded from job opportunities because of my GPA. My options were limited. Thankfully, I did find a job after graduation, but it wasn't the position I expected to have as a
Mhm.
new college graduate.
What was the position?
It was working on a help desk, which is like, very, entry level, tech. But my co-op experiences while I was a college student were actually network engineering related. I was actually working in network operations centers as
Yeah.
a network operations technician.
Ah, I see. I see. So, like, did you find this was helping you better, like getting to know people better? Because, look, okay, when it comes to the power of being on the help desk, look,
Mhm.
my computer doesn't work. It doesn't do anything. You show up, you just stand next to it. The computer's like, hey, ping. Or was it a case of you were just biding your time to make your next move?
Biding my time, and I accepted the role again to get my foot in the door with the expectation like, okay, I'm gonna get my foot in the door. I'll maybe do this role for like 6 months or so, and then I'll try to move over into a network engineering or another role within the IT department. And that dream or goal was out the window. I had a very unique experience at that company. About say within the first month of working there, my manager at the time, he pulls me to the side and he's like, there's this very important role within our department or our company that oftentimes goes overlooked. So basically, he was trying to tee it up to say that I was going to have to serve as the backup for the office receptionist.
Okay.
Yeah, right, right. It's just like I just got my college degree and I'm already not in my ideal role after graduation, and now you want me to do receptionist work. This isn't what I signed up for.
Did they give you a reason why you had to do this important role?
Just that the receptionist was under his department umbrella, and I guess at that time they did not have a backup for her if she went to lunch or if she had to be away from her desk, and he wanted to fill that gap.
And why you?
Right, exactly. So that you bring up a very good question. So there was also another woman that started the same time as me. So basically he had the conversation with the two of us. She ended up quitting like maybe within like the first month of working there. She got another job opportunity. So she ended up leaving. And then that left only me to, fill in for the receptionist. And also, like right around that time, we got a co-op on the help desk. And I'm going with the assumption that this is a responsibility that could be shared because the other woman was supposed to, help me. So I'm anxious to kind of really dig into what my real job is and what I was hired for. So when the co-op came on board, I just wanted to offload that responsibility to him. So I trained him on, the proper duties of what he should do. And one day my manager came in the front office and saw the co-op, the white male co-op at the receptionist desk, and he pulls me to the side and it says, I forget what his name was. He says, well, so and so doesn't have to do it because he doesn't fit the profile that I want to portray at the front desk. Well, he doesn't fit the image that I want to portray. So basically, because I'm a woman, this is woman's work, essentially.
Okay. So I have to ask, with with regards to okay, not being where you wanted to be, like many avenue shut off, you are taking this tactic to get your foot in the door.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a place which, okay, well, I don't imagine it was challenging for you. Uh,
No, it wasn't challenging work at all. And I'll just add one thing to make matters worse. This job was like maybe 45 minutes from where I live. So I had like a 45-minute commute in the morning. And you take the same route to work every day. So literally, I would see this like delivery truck on my route every day to work. And you know how it says like if you want a job, call this number.
yeah.
And the sign on the back of the sign on the back of the truck, the delivery truck driver was actually making more than I was making working on the help desk as a college graduate. So I'm just like, what am I doing? Like I spent all this money, all this time getting my degree, and this person driving a delivery truck is making more than me. And I
Mm.
have to go to this job and basically backfill for the receptionist. It was not good.
Oh no. And like basically, two, not appreciated with what you were doing. And like three, being pigeonholed in
Yes, right.
into like something.
Because of my gender, because of my gender. And it gets even better. I later learned, not that I was digging up, this was like, back in the day before I guess like cyber was really a thing. So we had like the, share folders, and I was actually looking for some benefits, like HR benefits related information in one of the shared folders. And I clicked on like an Excel file, which I thought was related to what I was looking for. Turns out it was not password protected, but it was basically a spreadsheet of everyone's salary in the office. And I saw that I was making the same salary as the receptionist.
So how long did it take you to move on from that job?
There about a year and a half. And again, I think once the receptionist comment or duties, happened, that's when I started looking. But I think I was there about a year and a half and I got out of there as soon as I could.
Right, because okay, look, early 2000s and like you know what I mean, the tech world, like okay, for people who are very young and don't remember, like yes, around about 99 to like 2001, there was
Yeah.
there was the .com bubble burst and like yes, things were not going in the like in the great way in the realm of tech. Kind of highlight, well, kind of mirroring what's going on right now in the world of tech.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like the whole like there was a point where it was like, yes, you go into tech, lucrative salaries, this, that, the other, and like this the dream was the dream. Like going into that low level, like was it a case of you went, okay, I'm done here. I have to come up with a plan where I got to like go, this is the next level I want to get into. So you're not going to get one, doing something which doesn't challenge you. Two, like, yeah, you're not kind of being like pigeonholed or like taken advantage of. And
Yeah.
three, you have some type of like progression in the field you want. Was it like
Right.
that? Or was it a case of, you know, hey, same thing again?
Well, not exactly. I did find a better opportunity that was actually, I would say, more challenging and actually an area of interest. So it was kind of, I guess, pivoted. So my next opportunity after that was actually in the quality assurance space. I've always been very curious. So basically, throughout my career, I've jumped around and explored different facets of IT. So went from the help desk to doing QA testing.
Mm-hmm. Uh, what is QA testing, just for the people who don't know?
Yeah. Let's just take a website, for example. The quality assurance tester or professional is going to be that person that's making sure it is functioning as appropriate. If there's certain drop downs that are there, making sure those drop downs are labeled properly. If there's buttons that need to take you to a new page, making sure that it actually works. Making sure that when you go to the website, it's going to work as you expect it to.
Okay. And how long did you do that for?
I think I was probably there about 2 years or so. And interesting story about my career. I feel like I can go literally go walk you through pretty much every job or company. There's always been some type of experience that has propelled or motivated me to leave to look for a better opportunity.
Okay. Now, this is the thing. I'm just trying to build a picture here. I don't want you to go through your CV one job at a time. Like,
Hmm.
not at all, because I want to get to the point where, okay, now, look, there's one thing being like, yeah, a good soldier in the trenches and everything like this. And there's another thing like, yeah, stepping up, becoming a lieutenant, like for the generals. Like when
Hmm.
like when did you like okay, was there a point where you're like, you know what, kind of tired of just being like, yeah, general grunt, like running around in the trenches.
Hmm.
I want some more responsibility. And yeah, if there was a particular moment when you decided that, what made you like, where did you get that experience?
That is a great question. And I don't really know the best way to answer. I feel like I've always had that drive there. And again, because you get into certain organizations and you see, I guess, the mediocrity there. It's like you see people that have less, experience or qualifications than you that are only working there because of who they know in the company.
Mm,
And knowing what I've experienced, just trying to get my foot in the door, it's just like I know that I'm worth more, that I know that I'm just as qualified, if not more qualified than some of the people around me. So I've always had that, I guess, that drive and desire there. And I've always, I guess, put myself out there for those opportunities. There's the statistic or research that says women only apply for jobs unless they meet 100% of the qualifications, whereas a man will apply if he meets only 60. So there have been instances where I've applied for jobs where I have not met all the qualifications, but like the story of my career is like, well, you need more experience, you need more experience. Well, how do I get the experience if you're not giving me the job opportunity? And what about transferable skills that everyone always preaches? Like, why isn't that valid, or why isn't that appreciated?
mm. Like I think with regards to a lot of the workplace, sometimes they just want it a lot of the time quite cookie cutter. Like basically it's like, I want this. And they'll
Mm-hmm.
go through their list of criteria and go, right. Like the thing what made me laugh, especially when like social media started to kick off, and there was
Mm-hmm.
a number of social media jobs which came up. It was like going, yeah, social media, brand new thing. And like they were like going, yeah, I want 5 years experience
Right,
in
right. For
I want
entry level.
and you're like going, and you're like, oh, but this is something absolutely brand new. There is
Mm-hmm.
no sort of 5 years. There's no sort of real written playbook. And I think a number of employers tend to do that when, like, yeah, when it comes to individuals, people out there.
Well, I mean, I would say individuals when it comes to people of color, or Black people and Black women, because I work for many companies in my career. I've had senior leaders that have had no degree or unrelated degrees to the work that they were doing. But again, I'm coming with all the qualifications and the boxes checked, but you're telling me I'm not qualified. I'm not ready.
Mm, like, not qualified, not ready. But like, this is the thing. With regards to yourself, your resolve, like you seem to, well, you're coming across as a driven individual, a person who doesn't like quit, not really sort of an option in your vocabulary. And like, yeah, moving up the ranks is, if you're not moving, like Shark, no, I won't say that because Shark's ever moving forward. But like this thing, you have this sort of drive and determination. Like when you found, like, did you have that same drive and determination when you first got into your first leadership role? or was it something you had to learn and galvanize? Because, like, yeah, you might want to make progression, but if it's not focused,
Yeah. So interesting. I have never officially held an official leadership role within corporate America.
right,
I have a master's degree in information technology leadership, but I've applied for leadership roles and I have never received a leadership role.
right. Like, so yeah, well, I'm going to have to ask, leadership coach, how does that happen then?
Well, we're all leaders. And again, my ability to lead myself and inspire others. So most of my leadership experience has been external to my job. I've led nonprofit organizations. I serve on, nonprofit boards, employee resource groups. I've had leadership, I guess, experiences, but not related to my day-to-day job. I've always had to seek them externally because I wasn't getting that within the corporate space. And again, trying to position myself for that next level and trying to build in those transferable skills. That's why I sought leadership externally for my job.
I hear you. I hear you. And like with this, like, okay, acquiring like leadership, knowing like what did leadership mean to you before you went on your leadership journey
Mm-hmm.
to what it means to you now?
It's a good question. And that's hard for me to answer because I haven't had the best experience with some of my leaders. So it's really hard to say. I guess in some ways I was kind of turned off from leadership just based on, what I was experiencing. Like I said, the first manager I had that basically told me I needed to fill in for a receptionist because I fit the image, he wanted to portray. So I guess I didn't have good examples of leaders very early in my career.
Okay, but surely in your school, in your college, there must have been like good examples of leadership there.
Professors, actually, I would say probably one of my favorite professors was actually the only female professor I had within my information systems degree program.
Okay.
Yeah. And she was just very down to earth, very relatable. She was a great communicator. She did a great job of, breaking down and explaining the content to us.
Mhm. Oh, understood, understood. So leadership to you while you were at college, coming into the job world was, how can I say, like ships in the night or like ships in the fog. You didn't really like meet it until like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So what have you now discovered about leadership? What makes like what are the qualities you think make a good leader?
For me, it starts with connecting with the people because you can't do this on your own. So you have to have a good connection or relationship with the people that are working for you. So that's one of the things that I always try to do is connect with the person on the individual level, just to understand them and how I can best support them to be that, I guess like quarterback and remove, any roadblocks from them. Being able to have that strategic mindset and be able to set the strategy and the vision and put together the end to end process to make everything happen.
And with like all good quarterbacks, there are games where like yes, the proverbial poo poo is going to hit the fan. Now,
Mhm.
when it's in a crisis, what do you like? What do you say? Is it still like having that connection, or is it something which might have to take a little bit more assertiveness?
This honestly, just being transparent, just being open and honest, saying whatever, communicating with whatever information that you have at the time,
Mm,
reiterating your commitment to the team and to resolving the issue, and just bringing everybody together. Essentially, just being open and honest.
mm. Like if there was someone you could point to out there who you would imagine like, oh, that is a good leader. Who like it could be a politician, it could be like, yeah, it could be a celebrity, or it could be a like titan of business. Who would you point to?
And you say that, I think one of the first people that comes to mind for me is actually one of my mentors. I met her when she was serving as the interim CIO for one of the companies I work for, and just her presence, her style. And you know how you go to a lot of these, all hands meetings, and leaders say, here's my number, call me. There
Mhm.
was just something about her style where I really felt she actually meant it, whereas other people kind of like say it, but they really don't mean it. It just really came across very genuine from her and her communication style.
Mm. And like this is the thing, like I always say it's important to like get a mentor, like get someone who
Mhm.
can actually help. Because like this is the thing, like people can do it by themselves, but
Mhm.
if you are doing it by yourself, just going back to kind of touching on what you said before, if you are doing it by yourself, you you're gonna go at a certain pace. If you can, if you got the time and energy to go at a sprint, you can.
Mhm.
But if with mentors, like I would say a number of mentors, I would say you need a whole gaggle of them in
Oh
one.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, it can add rocket fuel to like any sort of progression you want in a particular field. And yeah, like, has it always been with yourself, just like female mentors, or has it been male mentors as well?
Primarily female. I've had a couple of male, but most primarily female mentors. Just because working in tech, it's a little bit easier to form the connection with women versus men.
Oh, why is that?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Mm,
I
because
guess they just don't feel comfortable.
so, oh my God, it's a lady. Oh, okay. It's like, oh. But like this is the thing, like with the realm of tech and the way it's been, like, okay, we've had like from let's just say from 2008 up until 2022, like
Mhm.
like a field of plenty, like a rich harvest going on, where like basically if you were in tech in certain companies, you were pretty much on a very good streak. Money was coming in, this, that, the other, depending what sort of roles you were doing. You didn't even need to be like a coder to like
Mhm.
earn a very good living. Now, with regards to that change, because look, getting into tech and leading in that type of tech environment is totally different to what it might be now. What do you think some of the challenges are going to be, like for getting like women of color into tech now?
Mhm. Are you saying getting them into tech challenges in terms of starting a tech job now?
Starting a tech job now, or basically, hey, possibly starting up their own tech company, possibly.
Yeah. Well, one of the challenges that remains is simply the pay gap. In the United States, Black women make 58 cents for every dollar that a white male makes. And honestly, the pay gap actually decreased. It used to be like 62 cents, and now it's down to 58 cents as a result of the pandemic. And over the course of a 40-year career, Black women lose $1 million. So there's the pay gap. There's the fact that sometimes Black professionals are brought in under level versus their colleagues. So that's something that you're facing. So like a lot of these diversity pledges are just, pledges. I feel like we haven't seen much growth in those areas. And honestly, with all these tech layoffs that have taken place within the past month, it'll be interesting to see what the diversity numbers look like now, because a lot of the workforce has now been fired.
Mm,
So there's that. Within there's also basically the concept of the broken rung, which says that many women don't get that first step into a manager role. So you're facing the pay gap, the broken rung, under leveling, lack of mentorship and sponsorship. And honestly, when you want to ascend to higher levels of leadership within an organization, you really need sponsors, someone that's going to be in the room advocating for you to get that manager, director, VP role.
hmm. And with regards to like the broken run, what has it are there organizations, groups which are trying to repair, like put that run back into place?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's tons of leadership development, I guess management training programs out there. And again, I've been through several of those programs myself, but again, I've never officially had that leadership opportunity within a corporate space.
Mm.
So I
Like,
feel like it's there. It's really up to the hiring manager, I guess, to deem the person as worthy or ready for that next step.
because like this is the thing, like the way I like the way I kind of see sometimes like the world, it's like okay, you kind of like you like we might not be the people to be that okay top tier person, but we might be the people who are laying the foundations down. And like
Yeah. Yeah.
basically, it's not. It might not be our generation. It'd be like, hey,
Right. Right. Right.
we've laid down the foundation to
Right.
give you an excellent base. So the next group, the next cohort, what comes in, the next generation can then basically build upon that.
Right.
Like is there like because like that's some of the times I think okay people want to make a huge quantum leap which is
Mhm.
within their right but they might not actually have the right foundation to do it. It might be a case of not having the right connections, it might not be
Mhm.
having the right sort of education, it might not be just having the right sort of opportunities come their way, which sometimes it's not fair, but you know what, that's life sometimes, you know.
Yes.
But like, what type of like are you leading groups to like help lay that foundation?
Yes, with the work that I'm doing. So over the years, because I didn't have mentors very early in my career, I just developed a passion for mentorship. So I've mentored tons of women, and my passion for mentorship is what actually led me down the path of pursuing coaching. So to your point about laying the foundation, I feel like that is what I'm, I guess, like living and doing now because I've had the experience, working in the tech industry. I've had the passion for mentorship. Now I've pivoted into coaching. I'm laying that foundation to build that bridge for the next generation of leaders. And one other thing that I'm doing is I've started two scholarships. I have a scholarship at my undergraduate and my graduate alma mater to support African American students studying technology to number one, help them get that foundation within their education. And I also mentor them, but also help them get them across the finish line and get them into organizations and help set them up for success once they are working within these organizations.
Mm. Yeah, that's very good. I like that because look, this is the thing with regards to the realms of tech, and this is one of the sort of key problems with what no one actually talks about. It's like, look, yes, the education's there, and like your opportunities coming along, and like you might get some people like, yeah, yeah, we've got like diversity inclusion, like all going in, but it's like, ah, it's this special day of the week. Next month it's International Women's Day. Oh, it's like, yeah. Oh, it's Gay
Mhm.
Pride Month. And like, yeah, things change and nothing changes at all. But one of
Mhm.
the things which like because of like how can I put it? There isn't like a sort of economic parity with like, yeah, certain things. Like
Mhm.
there is not a lot of like black startup tech companies
Mhm.
because the sort of initial sort of funding for that
Yeah.
type of thing
Yep.
takes a lot of capital investment. And normally, if you look at the majority of places, like yeah, they turn to friends and family, which might
Yeah.
be like more well off, or they've
Right.
got that connection. So when they've got the ball started, then they can get the capital, like angel investors, like
Mhm.
VCs coming in, like yeah, capital ventures coming in, and it helps propel it forward there. Because there's only a couple of sort of black tech companies I know of, and like one of the most famous ones, which I would say a lot of people don't realize, is Calendly, is one
Yeah.
of them.
Yes. Yes. I use Calendly
Yeah, I use it as well.
intentionally
Yeah.
for that reason.
Yeah, well, I use it because it's like a great little system. It's like it makes my life a hell of a lot easier.
Hmm.
But like, I have no idea how you got his like funding side, and no idea how you got that like got over that hurdle. But it's a real major hurdle in the realm of tech. Hence the
Yeah.
reason why there is a certain like the demographic is the demographic at this present time.
Yes, yes. And in the United States, Black women make up 2.2% of the tech industry. There's a report that came out from the Anita Borg Institute, and the data used to hover around 3%, but again, because of the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, the representation has dipped to 2.2%. And then what people really don't talk about is the mass exodus of not only Black women in I guess like tech per se, but Black women from corporate America overall. I think close to like 50% of Black women are leaving corporate America to start their own companies.
Okay.
So again, you don't have that in terms of pipeline. The people that would be in the pipeline are leaning out.
Okay. Like, but this is the thing. They might be like leaning out and they're starting their own businesses. But
Mm-hmm.
okay, like if they start 100 businesses and let's just say 90 of them go to the wall like most businesses do, and out of that remaining 10, like yeah, 10, like five of those 10 are just like help sustaining them and a small team. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you never know. Out of the remaining five, you can get medium, large, or like, yeah, that epic unicorn. And they might set up things going forward. It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's a case of I would say what is like I don't like there isn't one sort of galvanizing long-term plan because people are people and like it's not like there's a monthly meeting where it's like okay everyone come together now it's like we're gonna do this who's gonna facilitate it no but you know what I mean but if you're getting more like ladies doing this and taking the initiative going forward surely
Mm-hmm.
this will like it might not bear fruit right now
Right.
but it's like might bear fruit in 10 years time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah.
And yeah, and if you've got people like yourself providing leadership training coaching everything like this helping lay a foundation like we're talking yeah in the next few years this might lead to having more sort of capable new talents coming in for those companies and then basically making them stronger so
Right.
mm,
Right. Planting the seeds now
absolutely like
for the harvest, the future harvest.
hey, now forget the harvest. Grow a redwood tree. Those things are mighty big and they've been around for like, yeah, like almost 1,000 years. Uh,
Right, right, right.
yeah. So yeah. So with this, and like this is the thing, I know some people like, oh yeah, what about India? And like, yeah, like the tech people coming over from India and working like that. Like, yes, there is that, and you know what I mean. But I don't think that's going to kind of address the here and now, which is happening, say, over in the States, happening in the UK, and maybe some other sort of quote unquote developed nations. Now,
Hmm.
what do you think like can be done to improve, like, well, tech and the sort of opportunities to provide more leadership roles for like for women in general.
That is a very loaded question.
Yeah. That's why I'm asking
Yeah,
it.
it's a lot, honestly, and it's going to take a culture change, and culture doesn't change overnight. It's going to take a culture change. It's going to take serious commitment from leadership versus, making the pledges saying like we want a double representation, whatever number it's going to be. It really starts from a culture shift perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And, one thing that I've experienced as a Black woman in the field, I feel like, the rules are different. People talk about, the microaggressions. Some people prefer to say racism. So like that culture, still exists. And there's the concept of the emotional tax. Like you as a Black woman in tech, I've been the first, the only. So being isolated from just being the only person in the room, it just weighs on you. The fact that my skills and qualifications are undervalued and not appreciated, that's something that weighs on you.
Mm-hmm.
So it really takes a tough skin to, remain in this field when again you're seeing colleagues who have less qualifications than you, move to the top and you're, stagnant.
Have you asked like well, have you asked the reason how that person's moved to the top? Like just Like,
No, not explicitly, but sometimes again it's because of who they know in the company.
hmm, okay, okay. No, the only reason why I ask is because like sometimes it might be a case of, hey, how do you do it? Like because like you know what I mean, there's certain things in life where it's like, okay, like how did you get that skill? I've asked and like I
Mhm.
do this, and it's like, and there's sometimes where it's just like a mind, like the whole glass shatters and goes, oh, I haven't been doing that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you always get, well, I worked really hard and, now I'm a vice president or now I'm a manager. You get those stories. You don't get like the true story.
Yeah. No, like, and like this is the thing, like with me doing a podcast and everything like this, I always sort of get, there's always sort of little things people do, which isn't just generally like, I've worked hard. It's a case of they
Mhm.
do something which is slightly different. And look, don't get me wrong, there are people out there which, okay, you've coasted by and like,
Mhm.
use your connections. But like,
Mhm.
yeah, but there are others which have been working hard. It's just a case of you don't always see the work because they're like a
Mhm.
graceful swan on top of
Mhm.
a lake, but meanwhile they're kicking like mad underneath, you know?
Right. Right.
Mm. So what, like as I say, what would you like to see from tech? No, but like this is the thing. Like what like if you could talk to your younger self and go, yeah,
Mhm.
what sort of key pieces of advice would you give her to maybe quicken the process?
Yeah. That's a really good question. And I don't know if there is a way you could, quicken the process. I think the biggest thing that I've learned over the years and that I continue to learn is that it's really important to tap into your intuition. Those whispers, those feelings that you have where you may sometimes, brush it off like, oh, it's not really that. It really is that. So, tapping into your intuition, if you know that a certain opportunity or organization doesn't feel right, go with that feeling. Like don't discredit or discount that feeling. So definitely tapping into your intuition, believing in yourself, even sometimes when you may not believe it, it's like just not being afraid to put yourself out there and just, doing it scared if you have to.
Mm-hmm. Doing it scared. Doing it scared.
Mhm.
Being bold, being brave, and going
Yeah.
forward. Ah,
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, you're never going to get if you stay within your comfort zone, you're never going to grow. So you have to be comfortable or willing to step outside of your comfort zone. If I didn't believe in myself when I had that situation with my first job out of college, when the man told me I needed to fill in for the receptionist, I would still be there, probably backfilling for the receptionist to this day.
mm. No, no, I agree. And like this is the thing with regards to like stepping out your comfort zone, like there are too many people, I would say, in this day and age. Like one, they don't step into their comfort zone, and two, they don't actually do any sort of self-reflection or
Hmm.
of who they are to basically know where they're going. And
Yeah,
so, like, yeah, they end up being stuck. And when they ask the question, why, like, why is it not working for me? If they have no idea who they are, they're gonna have no
right.
idea where they're gonna go. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I have to ask, like, what made you do the jump to be a coach of all things?
Yeah, to your point, you talked about people doing that self-reflection. It's because I've been doing this work on myself, like taking those moments to do the self-reflection, to figure out what I like and what I don't like, and to try new things, and just taking time to be quiet and, what brings me joy, what gives me energy,
Yeah,
and, what mark do I want to leave on this world? And oftentimes it's not about the money in some aspects. It's about, just being able to impact lives and make change. And I just came to the conclusion that it's better for me, or I would just rather prefer to make an impact at this stage.
Mm. No, because
And I feel like coaching allows me to, marry my passions. Like I said, I'm a huge lifelong learner. I'm very passionate about personal and professional development, and coaching allows me to marry those passions into a career and also help other people to fill that gap. So we have that pipeline of women ready to take the lead.
no, but like this is the thing. You are out there making an impact, like doing like setting up two scholarships to like yeah, get people to like getting the education and like you know what I mean, move on to that next level. That is
Mhm,
always a good thing. Also trying like making an impact in helping coach people to get to that next level where they can
mhm,
elevate themselves. Now,
mhm.
with regards to like where you would like your personal development to go, like over say the next like 3 to 5 years, what would you like? What are some of the things you would like to do?
Well, actually, one thing that I'm working on now, I'm actually in the process of writing my first book,
Mm, yeah. And what's your
which is a huge undertaking.
ah? How far are you into your first book?
I'm approaching about 20,000 words, and I think the goal is to probably have like about 30 to 60 words, depending, 30 to 60,000 words.
I was about to say that's an awful short book if it's face. It's like, how are you? Done. But
Right. Sentences.
yeah. So what have you found the challenges in like writing your own book? Like you're like 20,000 words in, like by all means, that's no like easy feat.
Right. Well, the challenge for me has been time because in the midst of, doing all this, I also just did a cross country move. So I was previously living in the Seattle, Washington area, and now I've relocated back to my hometown of Washington, D.C. And I literally planned this cross country move in like under a month. So it's been challenging trying to balance, moving, getting settled, writing a book, running a business, all the things at once. So it's just a matter of a balancing act right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So have to ask, why did you move from Seattle like back well from Seattle back to Washington, D.C.?
Well, again, I made the pivot into focusing on my coaching and consulting business full time, and I'm originally from Washington D.C. And I really just wanted to be back on the East Coast, closer to friends and family. Seattle just was not for me. I tried it, but I'm an East Coast girl.
Okay, like well, look, Seattle, it's known for its sunshine and like warm and dry days.
You
Mm.
mean lack of sunshine?
Yeah, I know about Seattle. It's like, yeah, I'd be perfectly at home if I was in Seattle. Okay, rain, Seattle,
Yeah,
rain. It's
yeah.
yeah. So interesting. No, but like this is the thing. Like, so you're doing your book. So once you've done your book, is it a case of you're gonna send out into the world and like see how that goes, or is it gonna be a case of yeah, I've done the book now, like yeah, more speaking gigs, or yeah, like start a training course? What?
Well, anyone that knows me knows I like to dream and think big. So I'm all those things you said, book tours, speaking engagements, courses. And like I'm the type of person like I really want to leave this world in a better place and make change. So hoping that this book will impact lives and drive change. So the topic of the book is workplace trauma and Black women, just raising awareness to
Mhm.
experiences that women are having right now within corporate America. And again, we have all these companies that have diversity goals and targets, but if you hear some of the stories of the women that I've interviewed, you will understand why the numbers are flat and women are actually leaving corporate America
Yeah. May I
because
ask,
of the trauma.
yeah, may I ask, like, what was one of the stories which, like, you heard, which may have shocked you from your research?
One that really stands out, there was a woman that I interviewed, and she was essentially doing two jobs and not being compensated for the two roles that she was performing within the organization. Of course, that she was doing the jobs well and perhaps too well. And the company or the organization, they asked her to take an IQ test. And this was in the past 2 years.
Okay, why did they ask her to do her IQ test? Because if she's got the job already and she's doing a second job
I
for that.
guess right. I guess they couldn't believe that she was performing at the level she was performing. I think she was essentially doing director level work, but again, not being paid director level salary for the work that she was doing. And then when they got the results back from her IQ test, she said they tried to downplay the results of her scores. And the person she ended up leaving the company, but the person that replaced her was brought in at a higher level and did not have to take an IQ test. And she was probably the only Black woman that was at the company, or maybe one of a few Black women that was at the company.
Yeah.
And ironically, I think at one point she said that she was also asked to sit in the receptionist seat to welcome people within the office.
But is it a case of it's like small small companies, like many of these ladies are ending up in with like sort of small mindsets and small like yeah direction, just generally yeah. Uh,
I can't say it's specific to small. I feel like, every organization has their stuff. It's not necessarily specific to small companies or large companies. It happens everywhere.
yeah. Oh God. Oh God. So like this is the thing. Like with your leadership training, like if I was a young lady looking to get into tech,
Mm-hmm.
would you be able to sort of give me the sort of essential skills to like well not Twitter anymore, but get into say like yeah Google or something like that.
Well, there's two things. I guess from a mentoring perspective, yes, coaching is different from mentoring. So from a mentoring perspective, I can definitely, make some recommendations in terms of the things you can do. Coaching is more the inner work, just uncovering, things, uncovering your greatness essentially. It's helping you go from good to great. That's what coaching does for individuals. Helping bring out the best in you to get you to where you really want to be. And giving you time to kind of reflect. You talked about self-reflection earlier, inviting you to spend time, reflecting. Where do you see yourself? Why do you want that? How are you going to feel when you're in that six-figure salary? Why do you want that? How does that align with your personal values or your family values?
Mm.
Getting you to think and dig deeper. Like it may sound great on the outside, but when you really think about it, that's really not what I want. I'd rather have work-life balance versus working 60 hours a week.
Mm. But that's one of the things I think people don't actually work out because like this is the thing like tech, depending on what level you are, kind of being a lawyer, being a doctor,
Mm-hmm.
like being like a consultant in like yeah one of the highbrow companies like McKinsey or whatnot. It does take a heavy sort of toll on
Yeah.
the hours what are required to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a number of people don't actually realize this. This is like
Mm-hmm.
well, like this is where like I Twitter comes to mind with its sort of dramatic change in sort of culture. I have no idea who brought that dramatic change in, but like going from like you see some TikToks like this is my life working like at Twitter
Yeah, 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 yeah.
to yeah if you're not doing 60 to 80 hours and sleep.
Right, right. You're not deemed as being productive. I just want to pause 1 second. I have to plug my laptop in. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. The
Okay,
power,
I'm good.
yeah,
Sorry about that. I thought I did it before we started.
yeah, no problem. But you get what I mean. And I think the
Yeah, yeah.
which don't realize it because you know what I mean. You often see a LinkedIn post like, yeah, I remember when I worked like part time with my 40-hour job a week. Yeah, you go right. Wow, it doesn't make any sense. But I don't think people are ready for that or actually know what the reality of it is. You know.
Exactly, exactly. And then also, stress is a killer. I mean, you're putting in those hours and it really takes this toll on your body, mentally and physically. So again, you have to ask yourself, what's more important? Is working for the Twitter or saying you have a $300,000 salary, but during your downtime, you're too exhausted to really enjoy the benefits of the $300,000 salary, or they're calling you 24/7 because you can't really turn off.
Mm. Yes, no, I hear that. That is a painful life indeed. And like this is the thing. Have you like are you coming across many a person who don't actually understand that? That might be the reality of it, and then giving them that clarity, or they're just like, right, pulling the
Not
chain.
exactly. I feel like some of the people, well, some of the women that I work with, we always have that self-doubt, like, am I good enough? When in fact we are, and oftentimes we are overqualified for the roles that we're in. But again, this reminding them that you're good enough, if not more than good enough for this role, in any role that you apply for.
Mm.
Just helping them see, holding up the mirror to help them see the greatness that they have within them.
Yeah, I sometimes think some ladies need to walk with a little bit of swagger in their step when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to their sort of career life, because dear God, there are like no, more ladies are college qualified than ever has been. Like more ladies are you know what I mean, like masters, doctorates, everything
Right, right,
qualified.
right. But how many letters do I need behind my name?
Yeah, but like the whole thing is, I don't think with regards to like, yeah, if I, if I had a master's or a doctorate, yes, yes, my name is, yes, Doctor Miradi B. Thank you very much. Yeah, doctor. And I'll approach the world with a slight swagger, which I sometimes don't think ladies often do when
Mhm.
they should, I think. And I think it would serve them well if they did, you know?
Yes, yes.
Mm. So, last question I have to ask. Now, if there was one leader through through time and space, hey, even in like reality or fiction, you could speak to get like a seed of wisdom from, who would it be and why?
The first person that comes to mind would be this Michelle Obama, just because she handles things with such elegance and grace.
Hmm. Not Michelle Obama. Elegant
Mm-hmm.
Grace. Like, have you like read her book?
I have not read her book yet. I did have an opportunity to hear her speak at the Pennsylvania Conference for Women a few years ago, but I have not read her book yet. It's on my list.
You should read the book because it does give a fascinating insight into the whole world of a first lady, and like
Mm-hmm.
basically how sometimes like you might not be aware how people see you and how you project in yourself, because
Mm-hmm.
one sort of segment from the book where she was like talking, like every time she did a speech, she was like, yeah, I knocked it out of the park, and like the points would drop. And like and they were like, okay. She was like, her team sat her down and went, yeah. They were like, right. And she was like, yeah, speech, no problem. You you you're out of your mind. But then
Mm-hmm.
he turned down the sound all the way down and just played it with how she was doing her body movements, body
Mm-hmm.
language, everything like this. And it was a case of, she was like, oh, she realized there was an error there. And like
Yep.
this thing, it like it takes a it takes a lot of courage to have, like, to be humble, to put your pride to the side and go, right,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
this is,
Yeah.
I need to make that change, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, being open and receptive to the feedback, and to your point earlier, doing that reflection and doing that work on yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Blimey, yeah. Now, I have to say thank you, Angela, for coming on today. You have been a star, to say the least, and a delight to have. Hey, can you let the people out there know how they can find you out there on the interwebs?
Sure. I am most active on LinkedIn at Angela V. Harris, and my website is also angelavharris.com.
Mm. Excellent. Excellent. Go out there. Go out there, ladies. Maybe a jet or two. Like, yeah, find her. Like, see what leadership skills she can awaken in you and make you, well, Find your true greatness. That's what I simply
Yes.
say. Yeah.
Unlock your superpowers.
Oh, absolutely. And yes, let me say thank you to you, my friends, my life warriors, for sticking with us to the end of this show. Yes, please stay well, stay safe, be awesome, be excellent, be fantastic. Be all the positive bees you can be in this world and then some. And remember, you can find your greatness too. Peace. Oh, and we are.